There we go. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, how's it going, Chris? Doing
Keeping it
good.
busy. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I had to make that. Pops was hollering at me for about 2 weeks. He's like, "You got to get me a channel video, or else we can't, show it." And I'm like, "Fine, I'll get it for you." so, so we made that one, and we just played at the beginning each time.
It was lovely. It was lovely.
I
Some
appreciate
nice dramatic music.
it. I am no artist by any means. Honestly, I use this program. You're gonna find I ramble. Okay,
That's okay.
I like rambling. Um, I don't know if storytellers just do that, but I use this thing called InShot on the phone, and it has really neat transitions. I use it a lot for when I do comic books because they're hard. They're you can take the images and animate them a lot easier in there, and
hmm
yeah, that's what I used for that one. Then I threw it into Camtasia and did that.
Well, hopefully you don't tell me too much because I don't want you to have to kill me.
No, no,
Okay, okay.
I'm always glad to share. Always glad to share. Speaking of sharing, thank you for the segue. I love it. Come on over, join us for the Slaughterville 3. We are going to be holding this open for, I'd say, another couple months yet until we are ready to ship. You can grab the original graphic novel, Gods of Metal, the director's cut, which do not be fooled by the size of this box. This was a mock up. Uh, we just got the official weights in because we're getting ready to ship. It's getting ready to go on the boat. The total weight for all of them is about 5,000 pounds. Each box alone weighs about 10.5 pounds. So those are big boxes. That's just because it looks the same size as the Slaughterville 3 and 2. I just used the same mock-up picture. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to pay the shipping, you can get the digital version. You can get our print and play versions. Yeah, links down below. Have fun with it. Do what you got to do. But tonight isn't about us. It is about Mr. J. It's
Me?
all about you,
Really?
baby. It's all about you.
Well,
Um, Tell me about who you are.
sure. Well, my name is Jay Moores. It's good to finally be on your show, Chris. I've met you through Pops,
Yeah.
who I think we've met a lot of people through Pops. He's kind of like the Jerry Springer of podcasts.
He is the glue that holds us all together.
That's right, or something sticky, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I'm a comic artist, writer. I have a couple novels. I've done a lot of work for companies like Dynamite. I've done a little bit of work for DC, mostly in the trading cards and sketch cards realm for them. But I also have done a lot of indie comic work. I have a comic series that I published of my own called Autumn Gray. And then that turned into an RPG, which is the reason I'm here, called FAE.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm always jealous of people that can draw. I like to pretend I can, but it, it 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 looks nice up here, but then apparently my hand decides no, it's going to look like a burn victim,
So
and
the
then
best
it's
artist recommendation I can do is you have to understand that this and this are never going to be exactly the same. So you have to be able to compromise this into this. Like, well, that is still better than I thought I was going to do. So I'll have to work.
now. How did you get started with the art, with the drawing?
Well, I've always drawn. I drew starting with crayons on my parents' dining room walls back when people had a formal dining room.
Yeah.
So they had to get some formal wallpaper to cover my original art. But I've drawn my own comic strips through grammar school. I had a character called Super Fluffy, which ironically I had a rabbit named Fluffy, and they happen to look a lot alike, except Super Fluffy had a cape. After that, I had a comic series which looked eerily like Garfield, probably because I collected Garfield, but it was
Hmm.
actually a rabbit. Again, sticking with the fluffy idea. Then after that, I started just doing artwork in high school, went to an art college, and then did nothing with it for about 10 years after college. And then I finally got off my butt one day and started doing murals again, portraits again. And then I went on a family Disney trip, and I was thinking to myself, man, they keep rehashing fairy tales. Why
Hmm.
can't why can't they come up with a new fairy tale? And then I was like, well, you know what? I just came up with a new fairy tale. And I wrote it down. That was my first novel, and that's kind of how I started tumbling into this whole thing. I'm sorry. I have a scratchy throat tonight. I'm going to be coughing a lot. But anyway, hi.
Hi. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me show these because you sent me and I'm sure. Tell me which ones you've done. There we go.
So this is an illustration done by Ryan Santos. He's a good friend of mine. He decided he loved the concept of the game, and he decided to draw some of the creatures. In this game, FAE, I'm choking up here talking about it. Oh my god.
We all get emotional. It's okay. We get the vapors.
So, in FAE, you actually play the monsters. It's a game where, unlike D&D, where you play heroes that deal with monsters, in this one, it is the modern day world, and you are the things that lurk in the shadows, the things that go bump in the night. Obviously, this Minotaur is not lurking in the shadows so good. He's probably huge and obnoxious. But I had a whole group of friends that came together and decided they wanted to do artwork for the book. And so one thing I had them do was in my bestiary, they've started drawing the different characters, and this is a Minotaur,
Nice.
done by Ryan Santos.
I like
This was a setup last weekend. Actually, I was at a book festival, and they insisted I have my game there, so I was able to kind of like rearrange my table area. The one sticking out there is where we played FAE. We did a couple sessions. And then my books and everything set up in the back.
Nice.
And this not again like your box set that you showed that doesn't necessarily reflect the actual final product. This is the graphic of the rulebook of FAE, not necessarily the cover, nor is the book necessarily going to be hardcover as it appears in this image.
Yeah. I tell you, there's a lot of good mock-up things for like Photoshop and InDesign that really help out, especially somebody like me who's not graphically inclined. But this looks good. Is that going to be the official cover image though?
I think so. Actually, I whipped up this cover out of I took some of the images I've used for the game and kind of quickly made a cover for the graphics for the Kickstarter, and it's kind of grown on me. I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this cover this way.
I say I like the portal effect. And then it makes it look like you're looking into the world, kind of a thing. And of course the creepy eyes looking thing going on.
That's this guy right here, actually.
Oh, okay. Let me see
Look
that.
into my eyes.
Nice. Where in the world would you get something like that done?
Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm Simon. He's actually one of the characters from my comic.
Nice.
Bill Diamond, who's a puppeteer, he worked for Jim Henson Studios. He read my comic and he's like, "We've got to make one of your characters into a puppet." And I wasn't going to argue with him, so Simon became a puppet.
That is quite possibly one of the most awesome things.
Oh yeah, he loves to heckle people at conventions.
Nice.
Hey, you with the blue hair! Hey, come here! It's amazing the crap I can get away with saying just because I'm a puppet. And you know what? When the guy behind me actually has to wear a face mask, he's way better at being a ventriloquist.
Nice. That is cool.
All right, I'm gonna go back here.
Yeah.
Those are his eyes.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep something like that front center but safe. And this one is the one I put in the background, of course.
Yeah.
I like this.
So this was that's actually my wife in the middle. I told her she was going to be my poster child for my game, and she didn't believe me. And then I whipped up this illustration, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And like, then we got a T-shirt made, and this was on the shirt. She's like, "I can't wear a shirt with my own picture on it. That's just freaking me out."
But yeah, because you said in the game again, the FAE are out harassing the humans, and this does evoke that the playfulness, but still some kind of the evil inside. I like
that. I've had some games that have been extremely evil, and then other ones that have just been mischievous, and some that are completely harmless. So
nice. I'm so proud of the evil.
And this is an illustration done by Jim Lawson from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fame.
Nice.
Again, he's somebody else that really loved the project and just wanted to get involved. So he did this one, and it's It's actually no. I was gonna say this one's available on the Kickstarter, but no, this is the one I decided to keep.
Oh, okay.
But I colored it, and then this here.
Oh, sorry. I was just
that's
checking
okay.
out the colors.
So this is an illustration done by Rusty Gilligan, another artist that's worked on the project with me. I wanted to make sure I had an image from each of them, to show off here because they're all great guys and they've really helped out with the project. And I think they've just had fun drawing stuff for it.
Nice. Yeah, it's always good when you can get. Again, I found a lot that the art is sometimes, well, for me anyway, it's the most challenging part of it, just because of me not being. That dude is still just awesome. I can't get over that. You can't beat that. I mean, I don't know if you take that to conventions. I don't know that I ever would, just because I wouldn't risk. I'm paranoid and wouldn't want to risk getting it.
Simon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he goes with me.
But that is definitely a conversation.
He's been repaired a little bit here and there. Every once in a while, I'm like, Bill, how do I fix this? But he, Big Sexy Outdoors wants some comic books?
Yep.
Well, the comic that he's from is available on the Kickstarter as well. It's called Autumn Gray, and it's kind of like the game. It's about fairies and monsters lurking in the woods around a fictional town in upstate New York, upstate New Hampshire, up in the mountains, and they mess with people and ruin their lives, and it's kind of like a down the rabbit hole kind of story.
Yeah. Let's get this here. I did grab one. I did manage to grab a copy. Yep. We are at over the 9,000. We are over 9,000, said Vegeta.
Which is awesome.
Yes, you cannot argue with that. Yeah, again, there's that picture that I like. Now, I don't know. Do you want me to play your video?
It's so boring.
I'd rather. We'll talk.
I'm actually making a new video tomorrow. I have a whole group of people. We're all ready to make it just in time for the last week of the Kickstarter. But that first one I made, it was a long day at my day job, and I crawled into the place to make it, and I was umming way too much. I'm probably umming way too much tonight too. And I, we ended up having to cut it, and every single time they had to cut it, they put an image of my illustrations in front of me.
Yeah.
So every time you see an image pop up in front of me, it's because they're covering the fact that they had to splice it together because I kept messing up.
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I love the fade option, and like I said, I use that Camtasia, and they let you do a fade in, fade out in between scenes. That's
so meant it. Yeah, totally.
It makes me look so much better instead of the half special guy that I am. But here's something I wanted to ask, if you don't mind me asking about this.
Oh, please go ahead.
When I was checking this game out, and obviously I don't have the book yet, so I couldn't really get much into the rules. But you mentioned that darkness is important, not being seen. I guess I should.
Yes. The worst thing that can happen to Fae in this game is being discovered by people. And in the modern world, with cell phones and cameras everywhere, it can get pretty difficult.
I was going to say, so how does somebody, like, let's say, I wanted to save bringing that up until later. Okay, let's say you're just you're out to disrupt a sleepover. Okay. And how would you ensure in that if it were you playing, how would you ensure that one of these people at the sleepover didn't get a shot of you or didn't see you?
Well, that's when your sneak stat is fairly important because you use that in order to try not to get noticed. It's also used when someone else is doing something sneaky so that you'll notice it. It's sneak stat is almost like a perception stat.
Okay.
Another big thing is when you choose your affinity tree for your element for your character, there is the tree called Glamour, which is essential for illusions, invisibility, teleportation, all kinds of things that can get you out of a jam. So it's always good when you build your character to grab a little bit from the glamour tree just in case you need to make yourself disappear.
Nice.
But if you do get caught, rest assured the rest of the FAE world will send something to execute you properly.
So it's not uncommon to be executed.
No, it's a lot of times I've had players that actually play groups that are sent out in order to enforce the law on things that aren't obeying the rules.
Oh, that would be interesting. So, yeah, I was looking at the trees, the skill trees,
Yep.
because that's always something that I find interesting in, whether it's in video games, board games, or RPGs, because I love them all.
And this has been influenced by all of them.
How many different trees do we have?
You have 7 different trees. And every tree has 25 different abilities, 10 levels of each ability. So there's 175 abilities. You can mix and match them. There are a lot of ways to like combine them. Like you could have an ice sword that shoots fireballs if you wanted to, if you mixed up the right abilities.
Nice.
But I kept it very streamlined. All the abilities, once you understand the basic rule of the dice in this game, all the abilities follow the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've learned the basics, which take 10, 15 minutes of gameplay to figure out,
Yep.
You can pretty much just find something in the book and you know exactly what it does because it follows the same rules. It was important that this game was streamlined enough. I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons since 2nd edition.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat down getting back into RPGs, when I started working on this, I sat down with the 5th edition D&D and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff you got to memorize here.
Yeah.
I'm an older guy and I don't have the time to really sit down and learn all these rules. I'm like, ugh. So it was kind of one of those things that helped motivate me to create my own system. Because I'm like, now you just have to learn basically like 2 or 3 rules and then it just pertains to everything. Then if you just don't know what something actually does, you just look up what it is. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's much simpler.
Yeah, that's why I like things like these, the reference cards and the reference material. Now, let me ask you it this way. You said there's 7 different trees.
Yes.
Is there a because again you mentioned the other RPGs, is there a specialization tree and then the other ones are not as good, or are they all equally as effective and you just can multi-class?
All right. So basically the way it works is you choose a race for your character.
Okay.
So once you choose your race, every race has a selection of affinities you can choose as your main. And whatever your main is, it's a point system. You buy your way up the tree.
Yep.
And the cheapest tree for you to buy your way up is your main tree.
Okay.
So when you're starting the game, you usually want to stick to your own tree for a little while anyway. Get yourself a little bit of power before you start shopping in other trees. So basically, when you choose your main tree, everything in that tree costs 1. Each tree is called an affinity, and you earn affinity points instead of experience points. You earn affinity points. And then when you camp, when you actually sleep, that's when you can spend them in order to gain new abilities. But you can also lose affinity points by doing certain things too.
Okay.
So basically, if you kill another FAE, you are punished, and that's the main way you can lose affinity points, because basically, like say you were fighting an Ifrit or something like that, and you slayed it, you've insulted the elements of fire by killing it, so they'll take away some of your AP.
Okay.
So you always have to kind of judge, is it worth killing this thing, or do I try to subdue it, tie it up? I don't know, like trying to find other ways of dealing with it other than outright killing it.
Okay. Now, can you go full born? Because I know my one kid Xander, he's what they call a murder hobo. So you could. Okay, how do we want to say this?
You can create a killing machine if that's what you want to be.
Yeah.
In this game, unlike D&D, combat is there and it happens a lot, but it isn't so much I smack you, you smack me, I smack you, and then eventually one of us drops.
Yeah.
You can play it that way, but there are a lot of abilities that stop combat right in its boots. So say you have your big, like, perfect example. I have a game right now that's been going on every week. I've been playing, and they're my guinea pigs. But one of them is the blatant tank of the party. So when they go into a situation to take down somebody, the first thing the target's going to do is cast something to stop the tank. Like,
Hmm.
obviously the big guy with the muscles that's coming in to break your neck. All right, I got to stop him first. All right, sleep or lullaby or dance of doom or something to just stop him. So there's a lot of non-combat abilities that get thrown around in combat. Some of which there's always there's so the thing that took me the longest in this game is creating a checks and balance system with all the
Yeah.
abilities. There is a way to take down anything. And right now my weekly game is at 8 players in the party,
Okay.
and I'm actually having a hard time coming up with any one particular thing to take them down just because there's 8 of them and they all have different abilities, and it's just like I'm trying to make them quick in their boots, and they're just like, all right, I'll do this, I'll do that, I do that. And then it's like, oh, well, okay, you took care of that problem.
Nice. Yeah,
This
and it
photo.
seems,
Nope.
I'd say it seems like it's pretty versatile as far as where it can go. The different
Yes.
kinds of stories you can tell.
Yes,
Yeah.
it goes all over the place. Actually, this photo here was from a game at a convention that after the convention was over, the people still insisted we keep playing.
Nice.
So you can see there's nobody else in the back. There's no other tables around anymore. It was literally me and the gamers. And eventually I'm like, guys, I have to wrap this up. I'm glad you're having so much fun, but I got a 6-hour drive. I got to go home.
Oh man,
So,
that's a killer of a drive.
but they were having such a good time. They were so loud. I didn't mind staying extra late with them. They
Yeah.
were the one wearing the goggles there was playing a character that wore goggles.
Nice.
I swear they've never played the game before, but they actually have props for so many of their things. I'm like, did you guys know you're going to be playing these characters?
And I gotta say, he's doing his job here because
Oh yeah, yep.
I didn't notice him at first, but now that I know he's there, now he's no longer hidden from me, so
There he is.
I can see him now. Oh, this is a 10 sided dice.
Yes. So all of your everything in this game is 10-sided dice. It's a 10-sided dice game system, and all of the abilities have 10 levels. So when you first buy into it, you buy level 1, obviously, and you can spend more points and build it up. When you get to level 10, it unlocks a mastery ability.
Yep.
But every level of the spell that you cast, you throw a die. So if you decide you're going to cast a level 10 of the spell, it feels so great when you grab that big old fistful of D10s and you're just like, boom,
Yeah. Now you said this is coming out expected October, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I will say that which one did I? Yeah, this one here is the one I got to complete. But today I just ordered 50 D10s, 5 sets of 10. So, because I'm a freak that way, everybody has to have their own. Like
Yep.
even different RPGs. Like I have, you can't touch these dice because they're set aside for that one.
Right.
So yep, I have the dice ready for whenever we get the book in.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
actually, there are custom dice in this Kickstarter as well for anybody interested. You can choose which affinity tree you like the best, and there's a set of die for each affinity tree.
Nice.
And
I
more
guess that'll be
importantly,
down.
it's like which ones are the flashier colors that you like, you know?
Yeah, that'll be down bottom, I guess.
Yeah.
There goes Zender. He's probably going to murder something. Let's see. Minimum 2 people. Group of 4 or more. Now here's something.
This character sheet actually, this is that guy that was wearing the goggles in the other photo.
Mm-hmm.
This is the character he was playing in that game.
Nice.
This is the human expert of that party. He's a brownie that carries a flip. He's 4 inches tall, and he carries a flip phone as a backpack. So he's most FAE are not tech savvy or human savvy, and he is the human expert of the group.
Okay.
And I believe that particular party, he kept downloading animal sounds as ringtones on his phone to try to scare animals away because they were dealing with a farm and some animals that had gone crazy. So,
Mm-hmm. Different languages. I like that.
yeah.
What? Yeah, there's the affinity that you were talking about before, and then strong. Oh, you even have a weak against one.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, that means the one you're strong against, you do double damage to, and the one you're weak against does double damage to you.
Okay.
So, say if you're a fire creature and you're fighting a water serpent, you want to be extra careful because anything it throws at you is going to hit you twice as hard. And that's only based off of what your core affinity is.
Sure.
So water being cast by somebody who isn't a water-based creature isn't going to do double damage. I just kept it straightforward. Like once you choose your affinity, your strengths and weaknesses are based specifically on just which one is your main affinity, not what abilities you're tossing around. Otherwise, it gets so complicated.
Yeah. I always like to look at the character sheets just because they tell you a lot about what the game is. Of course, we have our stats that we talked about before.
Yep.
The ever important sneak. You said something about last time we talked, or was it somewhere else? Because I watched a couple of things with you in it. I'm a stalker. What am I going to say?
That's okay.
FAE or
I have a club for that.
Do you mean something we can join, or something you can hit me with to keep away?
Yes.
You said FAE are 5, humans are 6. What did that mean?
So your average stats, all your stats are 1 through 10 in this game.
Sure.
And a 5 is an average FAE stat, and a 6 is an average human stat.
Okay.
So on average, a human is 1 point stronger than a FAE, 1 point smarter. Because the whole idea of FAE is that they are rather childish.
Yeah.
They are in general weaker. You can make your character stronger, smarter, but you then have to lower your other abilities because you only have 30 points to spend on your stats.
Mm-hmm.
And your stats are also tied. They're also tied to all your abilities. So you got to be careful when you're building your character. Like this particular one, he has a lot of. If you look over at his abilities,
Yep.
There are quite a few stats which are strength based,
Yeah.
and he only has a strength of 3.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for him to use those abilities because the stat that he uses with them is lower.
Okay. Walking, running is 5 and 10. I mean, that's. I'm sure others will be able to go faster or slower.
Yeah, he's 4 inches tall, so
yeah.
he can. If he was in a group, I have a mall adventure that we've been doing with another group, and 2 of the characters in the group are Mugwise, and they're 1 foot tall, and basically the rest of the party are all big brutes, and they can travel 20, 30 feet a turn. Meanwhile, the little guy's like, well, I'll get over there eventually unless someone wants to throw me. Come
on. Is this hex, grid, or ruler based for movement?
You can use ruler based. I've been using a square grid. I have a big rollout mat that has a dry erase board on it, and I'll mark it up with markers. One thing I find useful for this game is using dry erase because a lot of times when people are flinging around elements, it changes the terrain. So I can just say if they're flinging around water, I can actually mark out where everything's wet.
Yeah. Nice. Again, I want to keep with the character sheet, but you said terrain. Are there kind of accounting for, like, let's say I wanted to build up the castle forest because I make terrain too, because I'm an ultra dork, not just a normal one. I think I'm the king, but I've made terrain just to have it sit around. I've never used.
Okay.
Do you have again? That's why I asked about inches versus the grid. Is there anything in there to account for terrain pieces like fall damage or?
Well, you can fall and take damage. As far as that all goes, obviously you can't pass through a tree. It isn't like a war game where you have like a squad that has to get through and it slows down because it has to move. In general, unless something is preventing you from traveling, Every your walk and run speeds are during combat, basically. Or we don't call it combat in this game; we call it conflict because a lot of times it doesn't involve specific combat. It may be it's just you're on a turn by turn basis with an initiative roll.
Absolutely.
So you have conflict and you have time that's called holding, which is there's different rules for a lot of abilities during holding, like flying. When you're in holding, you can just fly. When you're in conflict, flying requires MP and a level of concentration in casting it because you're distracted now.
Sure.
FAE are easily flustered, so as soon as you're in a conflict of some kind, you need to focus differently than when everything's going your way.
What is this bar here?
So that's the meditation bar. The MP, you run out of MP very fast in this game, especially if you're trying to fling around powerful abilities. If you cast a level 10 ability, it costs 10 MP.
Oh.
So this character has 24 MP, which is actually pretty high because of his higher intelligence and wit. So you always have to carefully mitigate your MP. You have to kind of judge the situation like, do I need level 10 to take this guy down, or will I take my chances with a level 3 and see if it works? Because then at level 3 you're throwing 3 dice instead of 10 dice.
Okay.
So you're always trying to judge how much you need to dish out, and sometimes you just want to scare the crap out of everybody, so you just do a level 10.
Yeah.
But one thing that happens is you run out of MP. In order to get it back, especially during conflict, you need to meditate. You have to call meditation on your turn, and before your next turn, nothing can happen to you. You've successfully meditated, and you get back 1d10 plus your wit of MP.
Oh.
And you check off the first box. Then the next time you meditate, you check off the next one, but the next time it's 1 less MP.
Gotcha.
So essentially, you're getting mentally tired. So at some point, you need to camp for the night because you're useless now. It's so I wanted. Originally, I realized you were able to get MP. I used to just get MP back over time.
Yep.
And it didn't work because I'm like, there's no reason. As long as you got a healer in the party, you never need to sleep.
Oh, okay.
I think you need to get worn out over time. So this was my solution to wearing you out. You actually have to eventually camp for the night in order to reset the meditation meter.
Okay.
Because eventually you get to the point where you're just not going to get any MP back anymore.
And these are spent for the skills and the abilities and stuff.
Right. So the abilities are the things off the tree.
Okay. I'm with you. Here's
and
the
AP. That's where you keep track of how many AP you have and then what trees you've spent them in.
Gotcha. That's good.
Yep.
Of course, skills.
Your skills are they're basically extra things you can do using a stat check. So like this guy has human lore. So if there was a person doing something that Faye would not understand, he could go, well, I have human lore. And I'll say, all right, give me a intelligence check. So he'll roll 1 die, and he wants to roll his intelligence number or under. And if he rolls it exact, it's considered a crit, and I'll give him far more information than he was looking for. If he rolls under his intelligence, I'll give him the information he was looking for. And if he rolls over it, then I'll give him false information. Even better, I like to roll the die on my own so they don't know if they're getting the right information or wrong information.
Nice.
So they can't metagame.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is this an over or under system?
So the way all the rolls work, and even if you look over at the abilities, see how they say self or other?
Yeah.
On the stats. If it's for yourself, you want to roll the number or under.
Gotcha.
If it's for your opponent, you want to roll the number or over.
And that's their number then?
Yes.
Okay.
So strength, like Petrify is strength of other. The
Yes.
stronger he is, the less likely you're going to turn him to stone.
Okay. Unpetrify. Stone weapon. Okay, that's nice. And it's nice that I can almost tell what they are Without. I mean, again, don't get me wrong, I believe you have ability cards.
So that's an extra people can purchase. In the
Yeah.
book itself, you can flip through the abilities, but having the ability cards is nice because you can just have your character sheet and just the abilities your character is using. Just have them tucked in right next to your character sheet for quick reference.
These I always get because I am addicted to Game Master screens.
Oh, these are gorgeous. I can show you the other side of it if you want.
Yes.
It's I'll just grab it. I'm in the process of still making the prototype. 1 second.
Take your time.
Dry erase. It's a dry erase screen.
Yeah.
And then on the inside, you got a couple of your essential charts on the sides.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And then in the middle, you can keep track of your the turn order with your players, hit points and MP of your NPCs. And then you got your little note window down at the bottom for any extras you need to write down.
That is cool. Yeah, usually they try.
It's actually all set up with sleeves. I actually found there some lovely blank screens.
Yeah.
And so you can actually swap out, put your maps in there.
Huh. Well, that's neat.
Yeah. So I've been using this one with the weekly game.
I like that picture there. How it wraps. I like that one.
Yeah, I haven't printed that up to put on the other side yet, but that's the graphic I think I'm going with.
Yeah.
I might do a couple of different options and just throw them in with it.
Yeah.
People. Just because I have a couple other ideas too.
Yeah, and having the initiative turn order stuff and of course notes is always beneficial. This way, I don't have to have something else to keep track of it.
Right.
It's just right here in front of me.
So basically, like when I'm running the game, I got my screen, and then I have one notebook page open where I'm just keeping track of any like funky stuff that's going on, and then I have one sheet that I printed up my stats for my monsters on, and that's pretty much all I need. I'm like, all right, it keeps it simple. The last thing I was tweaking was the GM side of the game because I was originally creating all the monsters like player characters with affinity skills and levels, and it gets. I mean, you've run games, I'm sure, in D&D and stuff. Yeah. If all your NPCs were like characters, you'd be so bogged down with with rules and stuff. So I basically stripped down the players.
Yep.
Gave them the most common abilities for those races, simplified the abilities into just like a set. This is what it is. And that's how I created the NPC sheets.
Nice. Yeah, I like any game that, again, you mentioned D&D 5e. People love it, don't get me wrong. But I like any game system that gives me what I need and then it gets kind of out of the way to let me tell the story.
And that's exactly what I wanted this to be. I wanted this to be the kind of game. So we play this game at a lot of conventions, and I have a table full of people that have never played it before, some of which have never played any RPGs before. And in about 10, 15 minutes of gameplay, we're at full speed. Like they understand enough that we can just go. We're not stopping and trying to explain things anymore. It's like, we got this. And we're going like right into the story. Even with all the Comic-Con commotion around them, we still managed to just focus on the game.
Nice. Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure Savage Worlds is a very nice system. I'm sure it is. But I've got it, and I need that book plus supplemental books plus other books and cards. And so, again, that's something really complex, and I just enjoy I enjoy the simplicity of a good system. Fireworks are going on. I don't think I got these yet. Those
are the affinity cards. You get a deck of 175 cards. It has every ability, and you can just have them as quick instead of having to flip through the book to check your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
You can just have them right there with the character sheet, and it gives you all the information for each of the abilities that you're using. It gives you what stat they work with, what their actual effect is, and then it even gives you the mastery. So if you have level 10, it also has that additional effect.
Nice. Remind me, and I'm 99% sure I grabbed the GM screen because I know I would. I don't remember if I grabbed these. Remind me to grab those.
Don't forget
Because
to get those cards.
I know I'm a vegetable. I gotta get in there. I should join the fauna. So yeah, but yeah, anything that can help me like that, I always get the extra cards just so I can say, well, here's your ability. You don't need to take the book and flip through the book. Here's what
Right.
you got.
So
Yeah.
with my games I've been playing at conventions, I actually print up one sheet, which is a character sheet, and then one sheet that the top half is a bio, so they know what the character is about, and the bottom half is essentially just the abilities that their character has.
Where was that? Something like this one. I didn't lose you, did I?
So what? No, I'm looking.
Oh, yeah, something like this sheet here. How it has the boogie and the goblin and then their abilities.
Yep.
Okay. Good. I'm trying to keep where I'll talk more just so you don't have to and save the throat because
I've been coughing all day. I'm on the tail end of allergies. Like I'm kind of it's gone, except I just have the tickle in the throat. And I just started coughing like 2 hours ago, and I'm like, oh, of course, coughing now. I'm going to be on a podcast.
I get them usually every summer and fall, and they are just the worst. I like the green ones. That's the one that drew me right away. I like the green.
Yeah, actually, I'm in love with the resin dice, which are a little further down, but these are the standards. These dice.
Yeah.
But I like the green one here too. I like the Flora. I like the Glamour, and I really like the Aqua too. Like if you were a water character.
Yeah.
And those are being handmade to order for the game itself.
Oh wow, handmade. Nice. Yeah, Terra's pretty cool too. I like that. The color scheme for that one. Again, I'm no artist by any means, but I just know what I like, right?
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Queen Dawn figurine. Now what is that?
So that wasn't the finished sculpt there. He was almost done with the sculpt when he sent me that one. But it's one of the queens that rule the FAE world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably the one most players will deal with the most. She's very hands-on, for better or worse.
Yeah.
But this is actually an exclusive miniature figure of the queen. It will be in pewter, and those will be available only through the Kickstarter.
Nice. How many FAE courts do you have in here?
Right now, there are 2. Well, there are technically 3, but those 2 will not talk about the other one. In fact, the other one is the reason why they execute anybody that messes around in the human world.
Okay. Summer, winter, usually is what? The 2 courts. Oh, wow, you got a lot of those. Look at that.
That would be the 8 issues so far of Autumn Gray, which is the comic that turned into this RPG.
Nice. Okay. Been play tested. Play testing is fun, but it can sometimes be some of the more frustrating.
Oh, I had one party that I have this one guy, and he's actually still playing right now. That when he first showed up for the first play test, he had made a stack of characters. He came in with about 24 characters, and he sat back and he's like, I'm going to see what everyone else is going to make, and I will pick my character out after that. And he was so good at punching holes in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thanked him a lot for that, because I'm like, I need somebody to punch the holes because I need to patch the holes. He's like, oh, you fixed this thing. I love doing that. I'm like, yeah, I had to fix it. You were destroying things with it.
I often tell Xander, he's my second oldest. Games aren't ready for him at first because I have to make them Xander proof, because if you can find a way to break it, he will.
So in this game, there are lots of abilities that just completely stop combat.
Yeah.
But the NPCs are just as likely to have it as you.
Nice.
So it's like you have to be a lot more tactful with your confrontations. Unless you have a party of 8 people, and it's like, how the hell am I going to corral this whole group?
Yeah.
I need to send like 24 things at them.
I like that you have the more adventures. I think we talked about that before. Cryptids, always nice because I like to do horror stuff myself.
Yeah,
I make the horror board games.
very
So
cool.
anything with more monsters and things is always good.
Yep, that's the last one we unlocked.
Yeah.
No, I unlocked the start 8,000, the additional adventure.
I'm hoping we get the hardcover.
Oh, I'm hoping we get there. I got one more week to go, and I got a big event tomorrow night. We have a live play test going on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If anybody watching your show would like to check out an actual live game, we're going to be playing an adventure I actually made today called FAE the 13th, and it is a camp horror.
Yeah, I saw that post on Facebook, and I was like, well, I know I got to see that one because that's literally the exact thing I was asking you about the last time we met. If you can do a camp horror kind of a thing.
So I think because of that conversation, that kind of started the little thought in my head. I'm like, that's it. We're doing that. We're doing that.
Nice. Yeah, as soon as I get the books and stuff, I'd like to hold something too, and once I learn everything, because I like the sheets. It tells you everything you need to know about them.
Yeah. So right now you're scrolling through. These are some of the races you can pick from.
Yeah.
And as you can see, for each race, like here for Fairy, you can choose either Sky or Flora as your main.
Okay.
Gives you the size of the character, and then what bracket of size for speed you fall into. And then you have your racial ability. Every race has a ability. It's not like a game changer, but it's like a little flavor. That way, when you pick a character, you get your little flavor.
Sure.
And then a stat restriction is there's one stat that you aren't allowed to bring above 6. Every race has a stat that you have to keep below 6.
Okay.
So that Fairy cannot pick up a car and throw it at you without magical abilities.
Yeah.
And then you get your appearance, disposition, then how they're treated in social circles, and then I every single race I actually pulled up an excerpt from my research. So one thing I made sure I did for this game was I didn't fall into the tropes that Lord of the Rings or Dungeons and Dragons have made for races. I actually ignored it and actually researched the original concepts and then figured out how that could be modernized. Like, all right, that's where they came from. You take that and now what is that like now?
What is it like to play a salamander?
That has been one of the most popular races people have been playing in my playtests.
It drew me right here as soon as we scrolled past it. I kept wanting to come back up to it.
So you got salamander. You can also play a drake, which is like a salamander except with horns and wings. Drakes are wannabe dragons. They're like the Jack Russells of the Fey world.
Nice.
They really, really, really want to be dragons.
Of course, trolls. Yeah, you got your tanks, your big.
Oh yeah, you got to have your 6 to 10 foot tall creatures.
Yeah. I'd imagine it's difficult to hide when you're like 6.5 feet tall.
So there are advantages to being huge, and there are advantages to being tiny, and I explain that in the book too. Like, yes, the troll can travel across the whole freaking map by walking in one turn. That's great. Unfortunately, in most situations where you don't want to be noticed, good luck when you're 10 feet tall and green.
Yeah. And these guys, I'm sure, can whip around and stay hidden pretty well. Oh, but they have a stat max of 6. Now, that's what I'm. Is this not up to 6, or you can go to the max?
Restriction is you can't go over 6.
Gotcha.
With that particular stat.
Evil gremlin.
Oh, there are gremlins, but they're not the same thing as mugwais.
Yeah.
That was fun to discover that mugwais are a real Japanese folklore monster, and they are nasty. I have a person that's playing one in that recurring party, and he's bitten almost every member of the party at this point. He's just like, he plays them angry and doesn't care if they're trying to make a plan. He just goes and does his own thing.
Loves to bask in the misery of others. I'm so proud of him. Nice. Yeah, definitely not Gizmo.
No, Gizmo is an anomaly, and you can get these ones wet, and they just smell like a wet dog. They don't multiply or anything.
Oh, there he is again.
Yeah.
Always. All right. Well, that's pretty awesome. Again, you said we can expect this in October
Yep.
ish. Of course,
The book
shipping
is the book minus the stretch goals is like 95% done. So
beautiful. Nice. And well, again, I was going to ask you about tomorrow's FAE Day the 13th, but we covered that one already, so that's good. I can mark that off my list.
yeah, so I'll just reiterate it for anyone listening. We're going to do a live gameplay tomorrow at 8:00 on Twitch at the compound. So if you hop on Twitch, punch in the compound, and you'll find us there at 8:00. We're going to be playing a horror-themed FAE campaign for about an hour and a half. We'll see how long it takes.
Let me see if I can do that for you, and I can post the link for it. So I'm going to search you. Okay.
There I am.
Yeah. And yeah, everybody always gets confused when I message them through the Facebook thing because it's under the wife's name, and it's like, who are you? So no, that is just me. There is that the one?
Oh, that's
Tomorrow night. That's the one we want to share to everybody. That's the one we want to make sure that everybody's getting. So I'm going to hit the copy link, and I'm going to make sure that they know tomorrow they can find you out here. Okay. Well, that pasted kind of weird.
Yeah, I realized I had to just type it.
Yeah.
Because I kept doing the same thing, and I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna have to type it. I typed it separately and then pasted that everywhere.
Yeah. Because I want to see this one myself. Because again, that was the one that I was interested in too.
Hopefully, my coughing goes away by tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, it seems like a really versatile system that allows you to create.
So, yeah. So, like, I created it so that you could sit down and learn how to play it real fast, but it has enough meat to it that the diehard gamers will, like, look up the tree and be like, oh, man, I want to get that ability up there. It's going to take some time. Ooh, and this one over here. I'm going to mix those. That's going to be fun. And I wanted that. I want to make sure that, like, it rewards the diehards, while also accommodating the people who aren't that familiar with RPGs.
What was the strangest thing that somebody ever came up with? Like you're
in
like, oh, I gotta block that. Yeah, somebody came up with that you realized you had to block it.
I had to block. Oh no, I never block it. If somebody, I am a huge advocate for the rule of cool. If somebody comes up with something, I will roll with it. Whether it's going to work or whether it's not going to work, I'm still going to roll with it. Right now, my weekly game, I keep planting seeds of adventures.
Sure.
And they have not taken anything. They're just like, oh, we're going to go do this. Oh, okay. So
I guess that week's huh?
They're kind of wandering around, and they've done some mayhem. They burned down a barn. They've crashed 4 vehicles. They actually just finished slaughtering a flock of birds. But they're busy. They're busy.
Yeah.
But I did have one party that were that the guy with the goggles that's an adventure called Into the Cropper. Cropper Farm is a farm that brownies coexisted with people at and would send out food supplies for the Fey world, and they suddenly vanished. So they sent you and your group to the farm to find out what happened. And without spoiling anything, because this is actually going to be one of the adventures available in the book, there is an old tractor in the field that has not moved in decades. It's rust covered, and the human expert of the group is also a tech expert. He actually went up to it and goes, I want to get this running. I'm like, well, you might be able to get it running if you roll your exact number, like roll a crit. So he rolled, he got a crit.
Nice.
So he managed to turn the freaking thing on. I'm like, now you got to figure out how you're going to drive this thing. I'm like, if you roll it again, I'll let you drive it. He rolled it again. So they had these little group of 6 little 4-inch tall characters, each at a different spot on the tractor, driving it at the farmhouse. Then I was like, all right, you're rolling into the farmhouse. Give me a roll. He rolled a critical fail.
Oh no.
So basically, I had it just barely touch the bottom step of the farmhouse. Steam shot out of the engine and it just shut down right there. They're like yelling, "Yeehaw! Here we go!" Ah! And then, so that was a great moment.
Yeah.
I was rolling with it. I'm like, all right, we're gonna, instead of like infiltrating and trying to find out what happened to the brownies, like they're gonna just try to knock the house down with the tractor. That's what
All
they
right.
want to do. All right, let's see if this works.
So again, it's that versatility that we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a hold of this and see what kind of Xander things he can come up with. It's like we play the Star Trek RPG, and it usually ends up turning into the Orville because he's a kill everything guy.
You can definitely go Orville very easily in this game.
Nice.
Or you can go very dark. It's all over the place. Depends on what you want to do.
That's the good thing. You can take it to a lighthearted adventure that you can play with little kids. Or if you want to go on a murder spree or anything, you can do that.
As long as no one survives, nobody ever discovered you.
Exactly. And that's yeah. Well, unfortunately, we are at just about our hour, and we are going to have to close this out. But where can we find you?
Well, my name is Jay Moores, and my last name is spelled funny. It's Moors. So you can actually find me on Facebook very easily by typing that in, or Instagram, same way. DeviantArt, same way. Thankfully, like I said, my last name is spelled funny, so it's easy to find me. I'm also kind of on Twitter, but I think I have 3 or 4 inches of dust on top of my account over there. I haven't touched it in a long time, so if you really think you're going to find me on Twitter, you might find me, but I might be comatose. Also, the link right there, www.inked.pub/FAEgame, is the link to my Kickstarter. It is still going to be up and running till July 8th. That is the last day, so 1 week from today.
Yep.
And let's go for that big stretch goal. Let's get that hardcover book.
Heck yeah, we want to look. I like soft cover books. Don't get me wrong, but guys, I want this thing in hardcover. So
Chris wants it in hardcover, guys. So don't disappoint him.
That's what we got to get to. All right, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on it, and I hope to see you more on Pop stuff or anywhere else around. And if you ever want to come back and run a game, you know where I'm at.
Yeah, well, let's definitely schedule one at sometime after this.
Sounds good, boss.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Have fun, everybody.